it's important to mention that. So we have a general idea of what he brings to the table, but Jack's ban is pretty much against Alex. The guy has played that a lot at the top lane. He's had a lot of success with it as well as a true terror, as Jax is a champion anyway. So understandable ban straight off the bat.
Yeah, it is understandable. I'm kind of expecting the jungle bans, the mid bans that we've seen. Probably going to see a Kale ban out. There it goes. That's, yeah, I keep wanting to say Lublin Shore. It's now Reason.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody keeps changing, and it's got to keep on track of that. But yeah, I was expecting Kale ban, not only for the mid lane. Power of Evil's played a lot of Kale, also for the top lane as well. It's another one of those picks that goes up there. Again, wouldn't be too surprised to see a Lulu ban as well because of that same reason.
Yeah, we even saw Kale in jungle yesterday to pretty strong effect, actually, with crazy attack speed, just shredding down towers. So very versatile pick, actually, and definitely one that you want to watch out for. And that's not even mentioning the ultimate that can keep AD carries alive for even longer.
Yeah, we're down to one ban left, and there's a couple of champions still available. Braum's still available, Lulu's still available, you know, a couple of the bigger picks available, and still Lee Sin. As we said, the jungle bans are likely to come in. Braum is going to be instantly locked in by NIP, so already, you know, early on in the day, we're going to have the mustache out on the Rift.
I do love me a mustache. It's Lucian on the opposite side. We talked about this yesterday at great length, that Lucian Braum is an incredibly strong combination, so don't want to have to play against that one. Lulu, again, you said this, they may go ahead with the ban. It's going to be picked in.
Yeah, it's one of those champions that has a lot of ambiguity about it when you pick it. From here, it can go to the top lane, does very well against a lot of the top champions right now in top lane. Irelia and Jax have been banned, so some of those more scaling champions are out of the question. So we'll see what NIP actually go for. Now, they're hovering over Kha'Zix. We're on the live client, so the Kha'Zix nerfs have gone through. So honestly not expecting it. It's a possible pick, but it is, you know, it's not the 100%, oh, we're going to see Kha'Zix in every game. So Evelynn makes a lot more sense alongside Twitch. Probably expecting to see, I don't expect that to be a support Lulu. Likely to see something like a Thresh or a Morgana here coming out from Reason.
Well, there you go. You called it. They are hovering over the Thresh. Haven't logged it in just yet, but it would make a lot of sense, especially against Twitch. We talked about this as well. Two top AD carries right now, Twitch and Lucian. I think they played about 90% of yesterday. Yeah. Banned I think Lucian was banned once, and that's the only reason he wasn't played. So again, it's not a huge surprise you'd go Thresh against Twitch because he's a very immobile AD carry. He does suffer with that. And also, for the same reason that I like the Vi pick, you can just lock Twitch down and he can't move anywhere.
Indeed, and another little point about that Thresh was that he actually does fairly well in lane against Braum because of the range. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but just to recap, so a good Thresh player, in theory, should always beat out a good Braum player. Just because you range, you can catch, as long as you don't let Braum get that level 6 engage, which, you know, helps the jungler get into lane. Thresh is a pretty safe pick up against Braum. But NIP have 2 picks remaining. Looks like they're solo lanes. Let's see what's available and what's been banned out here. So wouldn't be surprised maybe to see an Orianna, and Shyvana would make a lot of sense as well. That's what we've seen a lot out of players, but Syndra would be possibly the furthest from Orianna you can get for that mid lane. So that'll be an interesting one to see how Power of Evil puts up with Syndra.
Yeah, that is going to get locked in as well. So we are going to see a Syndra in this game alongside the Shyvana. So more than likely, Alex going to be playing Shyvana. And as you said before, this is a kind of composition that is kind of pick and mix, actually. That's the first thing that comes to mind. They're not really around the same kind of idea, but in that way, in every single way, they should be pretty okay. What
I will say is there's quite a few forms of crowd control or protection for Twitch in this composition. You look at it, Braum has a lot of crowd control. Evelynn has a big AoE slow and is going to be able to just get right into the team fight and provide a distraction. Syndra has a big AoE stun if you can hit it. That is, you know, a significant stun, and Shyvana can always Dragon's Descent if it's necessary to drag a team away. So, you know, it's not the kind of Thresh composition we see with Twitch, which is a lot more reliant on bringing him back to the fight. But there is certainly a lot there to keep the members of Reason away from Twitch, and Trundle would not be a surprise here. Against the Shyvana, we've pretty much seen that time and time again.
We actually saw it yesterday as well, so it would not be a big surprise, and there we go. It has been locked in. So, ladies and gents, they are going to be your picks and bans. Here come the switches, as we're expecting. Shyvana top for Alex, and Evelynn running in the jungle for Ku. They did ban his Lee Sin. He's known and feared for his crazy Lee Sin mechanics.
The problem is, speaking about the crowd control in there, is that, of course, Assault and Battery, you can't stop it.
Yeah.
As soon as it's on, plus if Lulu's in range for Wild Growth, that's going to cause a lot of problems. So there are still aspects of NIP's game here with Twitch where they have to be careful. They can't just have Twitch be in a position that Vi can just ultimate and get through.
I do wonder, though, sometimes Vi's will get this mentality of, I've got to go in. And in doing so, if the AD carry, for example, flashes away, and then you get a glacial fissure afterwards, you can isolate Vi from the rest of her team and just basically nuke her down. That is always a danger of playing Vi. You can go too deep sometimes. That
is a danger. We'll have to see. You know, we've seen Kikis a lot. Again, one of those players that has been around a long time in the European scene. So I'm so hyped for this match coming up. I mean, it's NIP versus Reason. You couldn't really get two better teams to start off the second day here from DreamHack, and we have, you know, a packed crowd already checking down over my shoulder. This seating area is already jam-packed, and people are standing at the back.
Yeah, and not really a huge surprise, because these two teams, they have a big fan base. You know, Reason Gaming, XY, MYM, etc., they have accrued a lot of fans over the last few years, and NIP is just kind of a star-filled roster.
I'm trying to think back. Have NIP performed in any offline tournaments since their new roster? As in, since the acquisition from Rest in Pepperonis?
I'm going to say no, but I can't be sure on that.
I don't believe so. We're all kind of shaking our head up here. So that's an interesting factor, is to see how that transitions into you know, an offline situation, and that's maybe why there's such excitement here. I mean, they've played in the Coke League. We saw them play against Gamers 2 a couple of days ago, went 2-1 in that series, so they've now advanced. I believe they actually play in London, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the case.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and I think it might actually be this matchup.
Well, if it does happen to be this matchup, it has even more riding on it.
I think it was Reason and H2K. Now, somebody's going to yell at me, but what I will say is, like, for a disclaimer, that game took place on Friday night, and we were on a plane. So I haven't had a chance to watch the VODs from that yet, so we'll get to that. But, you know, we did see the NIP Gamers 2 game, and we saw NIP run Braum. That's something that we should mention, was it was first picked in that game. We saw Voidal do an amazing job on Braum. I think he ended up something like died twice across the games that he played Braum, had like 24 assists and a couple of kills as well with that. So Voidal is looking pretty strong, as you'd expect on a champion like Braum.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, to just save some confusion that you fell for a little while, LDov is Voidal backwards. So if you're watching this and you're like, hold on a second, where's Voidal? He is playing Braum.
We set up the lobby and I wasn't quite awake. And I was like, who is this? I know they're playing with one sub, but... And then, yeah, luckily I can read backwards just about. So
I am very curious though how the synergy is going to work with Power of Evil. Because you get a trialist in Exile who's performing really well.
Yeah.
And then he's subbed out. So I don't know how that's going to go together with the rest of their team. What I will say is, again, they're a star-studded lineup. So you'd have to feel that if it comes down to it, they can just go in with solo queue mentality and try and play as individuals as well.
We saw that at a GSI yesterday, though. And that game, GSI going up against Roughnecks, when we saw Krizen's tweet about it, saying it was a very solo queue game, it actually felt that way, to be honest. And, you know, you don't really want to say that too much during a cast, but there wasn't a lot of team synergy. So you're right to bring that up, that if you do go in with that mentality, you kind of have to hammer home very early on for a very strong sort of performance to begin with. Otherwise, the team play will just kind of win out. And that's actually how we've seen the former Mao's, former Lublin Shore lineup. I'm going to start calling them Reason after a while. It will sink in. That's what we've seen this lineup do, is win through teamwork against opponents that, on paper, potentially individually are better.
That's a good point, actually. And the reason why we're filling in so much time, ladies and gents, is we are on E West. So, of course, we have to wait for that 3-minute delay. As you can see, I'm Vince Mattishill. This guy here is James Stress O'Leary. I did that one for you.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
It's okay. You got my back. It's fine.
I think we're about ready to jump in.
We are, but I believe there's a little bit of a bug with one of the PCs on stage. So we've got a couple more minutes, or maybe a minute or two. Who knows? We'll find out. It'll be okay. Hopefully it'll just be a case of reloading and we'll be in. I believe you might be able to hear the in-game audio, but I've been told it goes pretty much to a pause. So... Yeah, there we go. Yep, Mind reader. If I hadn't have said that I'd have been told, I would have just been like, we're having a pause.
We've had a few pauses. We've had a few technical difficulties over the last couple of days, so fingers crossed this is going to be one of the later ones. But, okay, I'm going to have to press you here. No sitting on the fence. Predictions.
Ooh, NIP are looking strong. And Do you know what? I really like the Reason lineup. As you know, we've casted them a lot. This is actually my first time casting NIP in a long, long time, since probably February, but that was a previous lineup. So I love the Reason guys, but I think that was loud.
All right, then.
Just having to announce you back in the game.
Rip earphones.
Yeah, hopefully not many headphone users. No, honestly, I feel like it'll be a close game, but I think NIP should edge it out.
Right. Okay, I can kind of go with that. I'm going to go for Reason Gaming, though. For some reason, I think Power of Evil coming in, it's nothing against him personally. I'm just curious on the synergy aspect of it, because individual play only gets you so far against a well-oiled machine. And let's be honest, Paul's touched on this before, 3 of the members have been together for a long, long time right now. So their core synergy is there.
Now, what I will say, though, is I think I saw Alex's tweet that it's actually because of exams. And right, we are on to the Rift and ready to go. So, first game of the day here for Group B at DreamHack Summer 2014. It is Reason Gaming on the red side against NIP on the blue.
Absolutely. First game of the day. And this is Group A. We kind of had a role reversal with Group B being played out yesterday. If you have just joined us, SK Gaming Prime and Faculty went through, with the GSI and Roughnecks dropping out. And it did go right down to the wire, right down to the last game. A couple of wars going down. This is kind of the touchy-feely stuff that we've seen time and time again, Stress. So I'm quite curious if we're going to see a late
30 seconds until
yeah, typically we've seen a lot of wards out, and that just kind of denies a lot of the later game invades. So it's one of those things that we'll have to watch it as it goes on. But Maus are recalling, so honestly, I'm not expecting much from this level 1 here. NIP may choose to do something a little bit tricksy in response. I mean, Braum, if you can get those early stacks on, you can get that stun very, very early on in the game. And of course, as a byproduct of that, you're landing a lot of damage from those auto attacks. And Thresh doesn't have his full kit available to kind of respond to it. But you know, it's going to be a pretty passive beginning of the game, and it looks like we're going to have standard lanes too.
Yep, that's definitely the case. 2 duo lanes are going to bot right now, so Libic and Makler will be facing off against Freeze and Voidal. Oh, Makler needs to be careful. He's already 8 a Winter's Bite. That's a lot of poke damage already. Just getting a bit too antsy and checking that bush, and he's going to have to recall, and doing so, he's going to find himself a pretty long distance behind Freeze in terms of experience.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was alluding to with regards to that Winter's Bite. Alex is going to check into Kubon, but I kind of expect Alex to get away with this. The choice to recall here would actually put him significantly far behind in lane, so he's kind of stuck now after being chunked.
And he went for Flame Breath first, so it's not like he could just burn out, get the extra movement speed and waltz out of the way. Take Fun's taking a bit of poke damage in mid, as you'd expect, but again, it's just a case of Lucian's going to come back into lane and find himself in a really precarious position, so that may force Vi's hand to come down to bot a bit earlier than expected.
Yeah, indeed. Right, we are underway. Everything is good, and you can see Voidal just putting the damage down onto Libic. Libic doesn't want to challenge him because after taking the damage down onto Makler, they really did not want to engage because he's the level 2 in the lane. It's going to be a bit of damage here and there. Shouldn't really result in a kill. No summoners either, but Makler again is incredibly low in this lane.
Yeah, he just got back into lane as well, so they're really e-bullying him out of this one. And it's a kind of situation that as an AD carry, you just feel helpless. Yeah. Like, what can you do in this position? You're levels behind, you've been harassed every single time you come back into lane, and look who you're against as well. This is like the king of danger at bot lane.
Yeah, now we were talking about how Thresh should, in theory, do well, but of course it is a duo lane, so Thresh is only going to do as well as Lucian is. Yeah. It's kind of not that possible for Thresh to lay down that harass if Lucian isn't freely able to farm. That's kind of the situation that you need for that. And we will see how this bottom lane continues, but it's a big stack heading in onto this tower. They're not going to get too much more than a little bit of damage done here. Don't expect any kind of engage. No junglers on the red side around, but it is going to be Ku heading in. Now, we've seen Ku play over-aggressive on Evelyn at times. He's going to back off.
Yeah, going to back away. And I don't think they want to try this dive against a Thresh. That's never a good idea, especially at this level. But, you know, Makler only really, and it's going to sound harsh, but he only has himself to blame here. Base checking that bush was needless, and he paid Not quite the ultimate price, that would have been first blood, but he paid a pretty hefty price.
He did. It set his lane up really not how he wants it. And actually, Ku has spent a lot of time down in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, let's take a quick look at this, because Libic is dropping low.
Yeah, Freeze baiting Libic out there, but Libic didn't quite bite. Didn't jump on top of that death sentence. Top lane, see that Alex his spidey senses are tingling. He's not going to be walking to the top, actually warding it out. So maybe not too sure as to where Vi is.
Yeah, and I wonder whether he knows she's coming to lane. Vault Breaker is charging.
It's charging, and it will be connecting as well. Alex instantly flashes out. There is the pillar and the flash as well. They're not able to tower dive this one.
Yeah, they got themselves a flash. Not sure that Kikis really needed to flash there. They kind of already had Alex's flash, but at the same time, it's going to make that top lane a little bit more vulnerable here. Alex is going to have a bit of trouble before he gets to level 6 of staying in lane safely. So we'll see how that continues as we go along. But it's a pretty slow start here in this one.
Yeah, it certainly is. And with Freeze and Voidal pushing so much at bot lane, this is allowing Mackler to basically just get farm. And yes, he's fell kind of far behind, but it's safe farm. He doesn't have to worry too much about going to the middle of the lane and getting caught. Libic has just caught Death Sentence, though. Onto Voidal, flaying as well. Freeze is taking quite a bit of damage. There's the heal instantly out. And Voidal goes back for the final auto attack.
Ooh, Mackler actually ended up trading worse off in that situation. He's got to be careful because after that flask, if that Contaminate goes down, it's going to chunk him low enough that Freeze could even potentially, there is a heal, so we wouldn't look at like a flash auto or something like that, but if they can burn that summoner for free here without a proper engage, that would be a big win in this bottom lane. And actually Eve's coming down here to try and exploit this. Vi is alongside and will get into lane, but I have a feeling that Reason are just going to disengage as soon as they can here.
That seems to be the play, but here comes the flash as well. The Vault Breaker actually misses. Foils at the front lines, taking quite a bit of damage. Ku eats a tower shot, but still nobody falls.
Heal and a flash used during that engagement, I believe it was. So, you know, overall, I think Reason will be a little unhappy that they had to burn 2 there, because NIP actually used a flash during that as well. But, you know, that bottom lane now a little bit more vulnerable for Reason, and you can see the pressure that's already being applied in that bottom lane. 48 CS to 28 in favor of the Twitch Braum lane, and it's all to do with that level 1 engage.
Similar story at top as well, Stress. 15 CS difference in Trundle's favor. So Alex is suffering a tiny bit right now. Of course, that gank at top from Vi, from Kikis, certainly didn't help matters. He had to flash away from that one. But yeah, Alex is certainly feeling the pinch as well. He does have Dragon's Descent now, which is an extra blanket of safety for him.
Yeah, he does indeed. Now, let's see what NIP are going to do. They've neared and reached some of the important levels. As you said, Dragon's Descent available. Syndra now level 6 is such an important prospect for her, because Syndra's level 6 burst is better than anybody else's in the game. And right now, let's take a look. Lulu, also level 6, is going to be pretty difficult to kill without wild growth. So it's one of those things that Power of Evil now doesn't have that really significant advantage that Syndra should have in lane at this time.
It's going to be a case for Power of Evil to kind of juggle as much damage as he possibly can on Lulu to try and burst out that wild growth prematurely. But so far, in favor, I was going to say, to be fair to Take Fun, he's been playing the lane pretty well. He does find himself 11 CS behind, though.
Yeah, he is 11 CS behind. But what we're going to see for the next kind of passage of play here, I believe, is we're going to look for a pick in the bottom lane and then look towards a dragon. That's kind of typical of what we see. And you can see they're trying to engage in bottom. Hook lands.
Yeah, Voidal's taking a bit of damage, but just does pop up the shield, and that's going to mitigate a lot of the damage that comes out, so they're going to be A-OK. 8.5 minutes, no kills have fallen just yet. Kubon playing aggressively. Dragon's Descent has been popped from Alex, so he's going for the jugular. I'm not sure this kill's on, though, because Subjugate instantly out from Kubon and just turns it back around. Yeah,
but now Subjugate's going to run out. Alex, if he can get a little bit of health back here, may look to follow this up, but the problem is going up against the Trundle, there's always that kind of surprise damage, and if Vi is anywhere near, Alex could be in a lot of trouble. But you see he's confident enough to kind of just stay in the lane here. But Vi is actually hanging around the bottom side of the map here on a pink ward, so knows there's no vision out of NIP to spot out Vi. And NIP are actually going to trade here. This could be bad.
Yeah, death sentence out. Again, shield up from Voidal, but here comes Kikis from the side. Can he land the ultimate? Yes, he can. On top of Voidal. This is looking like it's going to be first blood, and it's Vi that picks it up.
It is, and they just hit level 6 from this as well. The hook had to be flashed away, and Reason will get a bit of a win there in that bottom lane. That was a well-orchestrated gank. Vi hitting level 6. They knew the vulnerabilities there. And Take Fun's taking a lot of damage in that middle lane. But I thought for a second maybe Ku was trying to sneak into the lane here. But there's good pink wards out already out of Reason. They've spotted Ku heading into their jungle.
That's the terrifying thing about Syndra. Just Sork Shoes and Chalice and does that much damage. And just a couple of abilities. Kubon and Alex again are playing this dangerous dance, and here comes the flash from Kubon. It's looking like it could be the kill, but Shyvana, I should say, does manage to just about escape. Makla's taking a bit of damage there from Freeze. He's going to heal so he can catch up and does get the kill with Contaminate.
Now, I kind of caught the start of that and then jumped to top lane. I believe it looked like Makla just tried to trade with Freeze, may have taken a tower shot.
Did, yeah.
Freeze kind of just said, okay, if you're going to take tower shots on this one, I'm just going to apply poison stacks and just kill you.
You also saw as well from Free's movement, as soon as he saw the tower shot, he healed. So he had the additional, he didn't need to heal, he wasn't in any danger of dying, but he had the additional movement speed so he could catch up to land the Contaminate. So very nice use of a summoner spell aggressively.
Yeah, really well worked, and it's going to kind of help NIP at this point get back what they lost in that previous bottom lane engagement. Now there's a kill onto Twitch, 86 CS to 61 as well. This bottom lane is going very well in favor of NIP now. Reason kind of put a little bit of a stop to it with that gank, but unless Vi really starts focusing again, I have a feeling that NIP are kind of just going to start building a little bit more momentum down in this bottom lane. But Ku is focusing on top lane.
Oh, Take Fun just ate Unleashed Power and the Ignite, but Wild Growth will keep him alive in mid.
Just kept him alive there. That's what we talked about. Wild Growth after level 6, very difficult to kill a Lulu, especially in one kind of burst.
Yeah, exactly. But coming back into the lane again could be vulnerable, could be susceptible to a potential gank now that Wild Growth is no longer on the table. And look at that, Ku is lurking. He has sensed danger, blood in the water. But Take Fun is really playing with fire here. He has no health to do this, and his tower's very low.
Power of Evil's here, and Kikis with Sultan Battery.
Yeah, that's going to be the flash through from Ku, though. He wants to pick up the pieces and does just that. Now Kikis is in hot pursuit of Power of Evil. 1-for-1 trade. Both junglers chiming in with kills. Yeah,
Kikis is pinging down rapidly onto Ku, and Ku's looking for an escape up through the top lane because of how low he is. He's had that stealth reactivate, so he should get out of there alive, but 1-for-1 trades, bottom lane.
Glacial Fissure is going to go on to Freeze now as he tries to turn this one back around onto Libic, I should say. Makla's going to eat all the damage. He has to flash away. There's the box as well. Winter's Bite lands. Flash in is from Voidal, and the ambush from Freeze. This should be all she wrote for Libic. Indeed it will be. And the AD carry for NIP goes 2-0.
NIP looking pretty strong here on their organization's home turf, but we'll see if Reason can do anything about that. Makla is low and has stayed in lane. Kubon actually picks up the kill on Alex each in the top lane. And that, it looks like Alex just engaged there.
Yeah, he used his Dragon's Descent and then suddenly found out the hard way of why Trundle is considered strong against Shyvana.
Yeah, steal away all of those resistances and kind of punish you with them as well. But bottom lane, look at this chasers coming out from NIP. Trying to, focus elsewhere on the map, but bottom lane are just constantly dragging us down. Here comes the teleport out of Kubon. We'll see what they can do.
Oh, Freeze has been caught out from Take Fun. Wild Growth to knock them both up. Nice pillar as well from Kubon. Makla from the backside. He needs to be careful, though. He does run the risk of dying, but no, they pick that one up from Lulu. This is looking like the double kill into the Dragon afterwards. Can they finalize the kill? There we go. Kubon locks it down.
And that kill in the top lane opens up the bottom lane pressure there. NIP were way overextended, and they forgot Kubon had teleport. It comes in from behind. Nice roam out of Take Fun as well. And Reason are now significantly ahead here of NIP. It's a good lead for them to have, considering how that bottom lane started going for them.
And we're already seeing just why so many people were interested in watching this match. It has been a cracker so far. Very close as well. That's the first time we've really seen the gold lead opening up with the Dragon.
It is. And I mean, you look at the lanes, there's a bit of a difference in CS across the lanes, but overall it balances itself out. There's a disparity in mid in favor of NIP, as with bottom, but now that they've had this Dragon, it kind of just evens things out, and Reason have just pulled ahead from that gold lead. So it's interesting to see where this is going to go from here. We see a finished Blade of the Ruined King on Trundle, so now Alex really isn't going to want to trade against that, because even though he's got the Ninja Tab, he's not actually going to do that much because of the percentage damage that Blade of the Ruined King is going to start doing. So Kubon now is in a pretty easy spot here, and you can see he's somewhat freezing the lane, or was, and is now actually just going to end up pushing it. So Kubon is in a good spot, and that's not a good place to be if you're on NIP, because we've seen what Trundle can do in the late game.
Well, mid tower should be falling right here. There we go. Last auto attack, and Take Fun is waiting around, but it was a bait. Here comes Kikis with the ultimate power of evil, is eating up most of the damage. Can he survive? No. Shield as well on Kikis. Another 1-for-1. And I don't think Ku wants to chase this one down. Take Fun is a scary Lulu at this stage.
Yeah, you got to be careful, because Libic is heading through mid lane as well, but I believe Ku... Oh, unless the Glitter Lance hit, it would have reactivated his stealth.
Oh, and does get caught by the death sentence, lives up to its name, and Lulu picks up another kill, moves on 3-1.
A super important death Glitter Lance. If that hadn't have clipped, Ku almost undoubtedly would have been out of their home free, because no way would Libic have known where to shoot that death sentence out. And look at Libic going all the way up to the top lane. Libic is just saying, hey, Makala, our bottom lane may not be going so great, so can you just kind of solo farm for a little bit down there, and I'll just get work done across the map. He's going to return now, but that's a ballsy roam here.
It's a really smart way of looking at it, though, because if your bot lane just can't deal in 2v2s, why not bolster the stats, the items, and the kills for the rest of your lanes?
I mean, it's kind of risky at the same time, because if they aren't getting these roams off, if they're not getting the kills, it's wasted experience. He's not really stacking up any extra gold in that lane. So it's just one of those things that he's made it work, but you could see the same thing backfire horribly.
That's a very good point. High risk, high reward kind of plays out from Thresh. But so far, Libic has been landing the hooks. And a question I wanted to pose to you as I'm just watching top lane once again, duking it out to the death. Another pillar. I don't think Kubon's got the movement speed, indeed. Bilgewater Cutlass was used from Alex to keep himself alive. But I was wondering if you think either of these compositions have a sell-by date. If we get to late game, we're either going to fall off.
Now, both teams actually have decent scaling, but never mind that, because Ku might be caught up, or is it Kikis?
Hunter becomes the hunted. Kikis gets completely brutalized, but again, Wild Growth coming good against the Unleashed Power, and they should be A-OK. Are we going to have a re-engage from NIP? They look hungry for this. There is the poison from Twitch. Does slow them down, but it's not quite enough to catch up.
I'm honestly a little surprised by this Syndra pick, just because of how good Wild Growth is against Unleashed Power. I mean, Unleashed Power is not an instant animation spell. It has a pretty long animation for every single sphere to hit the target, so you have a significant amount of time to actually cast Wild Growth. So it's not like you can get bursted out before you even know it. So I'm a little bit surprised that you'd pick Syndra into a champion that does so well against protecting a single target.
Yeah, that is a fair point, and so far Lulu has been excelling. 3-1, has decent-ish farm, and already Athene's with a needlessly large rod, so a very scary Lulu to play off against. And that has been, as a result as well, it's easy to look at the stats and say, oh, Lulu's been playing a blinder, but you have to take into account that Kikis' counter-ganking has been sublime this game. He always seems to be in the right place at the right time.
Oh, that Vault Breaker is charging. If he gets into range, Freeze could die here.
Oh, the longest assault and battery. And that is going to catch on Freeze. Box has been popped as well, but Freeze could get out of this one okay. There's the culling behind the tower. Can he secure this kill from Makla? Flashes in, and he does finally get it, but is it going to be at the cost of some of his teammates' lives? There's the Dragon's Descent. Alex turns it back around. Both AD carries are going to be eliminated. Momentarily silenced. Glacial Fissure lands on both Kubon and also Take Fun. Kubon's going to be the next to fall, courtesy of Syndra. Picks up his first kill. Take Fun now, the man we were speaking about before, can't deal with 3 players breathing down his neck.
Alex with a massive Dragon's Descent will turn that on his head for NIP. And NIP overall, I believe, did they get 5 kills in that engagement?
I think
Kikis fell early on in that, and I believe that was actually kind of a delayed ace, and NIP come up huge from that engagement, and it was all to do with the way the Reason split themselves up during that fight, and really just let NIP take their focus to different places on the map. Alex was chasing out Libic. Libic had no way of defending the rest of his team, and it was just the case that NIP just got the engagements that they wanted.
Yeah, Kikis is now finding himself Alex in his jungle. Can he secure this red buff? Of course he can. He has the smite, but will it be at the cost of his life? No, Kubon is there. to back up his jungler. But yeah, bot lane, it's almost like they tunnel vision to pick up the kill on Twitch, and in doing so, put themselves in no man's land.
Yeah, indeed. I'm still trying to do the maths, because first game of the day.
I'll be right under their noses, says Twitch.
Yeah, indeed. But, you know, whatever the kill count in that one, NIP have not only evened up the gold here, but they've actually took themselves a bit of a small lead right now. So NIP will be a lot more confident coming off that. If it hasn't given them a significant gold boost, it will give them a morale boost for sure, because, you know, that roaming play out of Libic was starting to really hammer home on them. They are likely to lose a dragon here unless they can delay the fight. Glacial Fissure is not available, and neither is Agony's Embrace here, but Ku's going to sneak in.
He is. Who will the dragon go to? Kikis picks it up. Could be at the cost of his own life. Indeed, it will be. Also popped his ultimate to try and buy the rest of his team some time. A tower's also fallen at top, so NIP, they're going to give chase, but so far they are behind by 2 objectives. This could be Lulu falling down. Indeed, it will be. Freeze takes that one out as the culling comes over the wall. Not enough damage, though, to push them back.
And, I mean, over in that top lane, you saw Kubon take down another. I believe that was Dragon and a tower for 2 kills, so Reason will be happy about that one. It's just kind of damage control now out of Reason to just make sure NIP don't end up taking a lot more from this. They're looking to push in towards the middle lane here, and they should, I imagine, get this turret, although there is a lot of members of Reason coming here, and if that hook lands... Yeah, I was going to say, this is probably better off from NIP to disengage here. They do not want to get caught out here when they don't have all of their ultimates available. Yeah,
defensive Glacial Fissure just says, no thanks. We want to play when we want to. We want to dictate the pace of the action and go back and pick up some items, because there must be quite a large chunk of gold on the members right now of NIP. Yeah, 1.5k nearly on Twitch, and that's pretty significant because he can go back now and finish his static shiv. He has the Avarice Blade. Winter's Bite underneath the tower, though. Here comes Ku. That's going to be another kill to Freeze. Constantly at the back lines. Makla's took a bunch of damage. Can he survive this one? Alex says no way. Secures that one. 2 for 0. Just when NIP looked weak and having to back away, they turn it back around.
The stuns out of Power of Evil right now are so good. And I'm having flashbacks because I've said that exact phrase before when I've been casting him, and it just slipped my mind. His Syndra has been pretty much on top form, landed it on 3 people, allowed them to take Libic out without any kind of counter engage, and from there, Mouse, again, another stun lands, Take Fun gets clipped, has to shield himself, and there's a fight between Ku and Kubon, but Who doesn't want any of that one? And now, from being behind NIP, and now gradually building this lead greater and greater. There's a big wave in the top lane. They could look to rotate towards that one, and that will put Reason somewhat, again, further and further behind.
This is getting pretty scary, pretty fast right now. From Reason Gaming, Death Sentence comes out again, though it's landing on Voidless, not the perfect target. There's the Assault and Battery culling from the backside of Makla. He's doing a lot of damage, but it's Power of Evil who picks up the first kill in this exchange. Alex Itch very nearly gets caught from that Death Sentence, and Ku does catch that one out. But as you say, Freeze right now is going to be shooting over. Alex, is he able to kill a kill?
Oh.
Yes, he is. Gets a double kill. Are you kidding me right now? And that looked like a brilliant fight for Reason Gaming, but it's backfired so bad. This could be the triple, actually. Oh, my goodness. He gets the triple kill, and Freeze explodes into the team fight. He's always got perfect positioning.
Power of Evil with another beautiful stun, and I thought for a second Reason may have had the fight there, but Freeze, I kind of want to say he popped his heal later on into the fight, but used everything he had to get to that fight, and the rat-a-tat-tat just went all the way through 3 members of Reason Gaming. They lined up for it, and there was so much damage that came out from the AD carry, and how do you deal with that? When you line up for a Twitch, he's going to do so much damage and just completely put you down onto a respawn timer.
And this is what we're talking about in Champion Select as well. The composition from Reason Gaming looks tailor-made to deal with Twitch. This is what I'm talking about. His positioning is so good. Sometimes he allows the rest of his team to kind of absorb, be the sponges for the damage. And he's like, okay, they've burnt enough, they're low enough, here I come with my rat-tat-tat, and you just crush through. 8 kills, finish this static shiv, and has a components for an infinite.
And NIP are finding their groove.
Yeah.
That is one thing to note. They look maybe a little bit, I don't want to say shaky because they didn't. They just maybe didn't have the confidence of the stage presence that we know the players have. But they've woken up a little bit here as this game's continued, and they're really starting to come into their own. Ku is being aggressive, as we know Ku always will be. He's on Evelynn. It's the champion we've seen him on time and time again. And NIP are just starting to get led around with confidence around the map, and they're taking fights and forcing Reason into fights that Reason really cannot end up taking here. And as we saw, Freeze just comes into the fight, cleans things up, and puts NIP further ahead.
So what's the game plan then for Reason Gaming right now? Where do they go from here?
Well, from here, they need to make sure that Freeze isn't getting those kind of free engagements on them. Their composition, while it is good at dealing with Freeze, from there they're kind of relying on Trundle and Makler to actually clean up the rest of the fight. And you saw Makler get stunned up. There's a lot of stun potential, as we said, coming out from Power of Evil. They need to, as obvious as this sounds, either lock Power of Evil down as well or prevent those stuns from landing. And it's actually quite a difficult stun to kind of dodge. You'd expect being able to see it coming is, you know, a pretty easy thing to dodge. But look at this. This is Kubon potentially being caught out here in the top lane. They're closing the net around him, but they're going to pick the tower instead. That's a lot better a choice. It's a safer choice that NIP don't have to fight on. But I believe they're engaging on Take Fun.
Yeah, the Dark Passage came good right there, and it's going to be them okay. Box comes out as well. That was just for one member. And Q says, no problems. I'll just flash away from that one. So the only outer tower remaining right now is at bot lane.
I honestly don't think Kikis should look to engage from this, unless they can get kind of a wombo combo out here. Although Take Fun didn't actually use his ultimate, that's something to note here. Didn't use any summoners to get out of that. As you said, Dark Passage was enough to get him away. I believe Dragon is due up soon. There is a little bit of a bug, but Power of Evil's caught.
And this is exactly what you're talking about if they can eliminate him. But there's a Dragon's Descent and the Glacial Fissure as well. So much CC, so much damage as well. And again, look at Freeze's positioning. They don't even get the kill on Power of Evil. Finally goes down from Kikis from the side, but a 1-for-1 trade surely NIP will be happy with at this stage.
Kikis is trying to get out of here, trying to just get back to the base as soon as he can, but I believe NIP, oh, they found Take Fun.
That sure is a very, very sneaky rat right now, and Libic is potentially going to fall down. Shoots the wrong target, there we go, does get it, but look at the constant shields from Take Fun and the Glitter Lance. Good guy Take Fun comes to the rescue.
I was going to say Freeze could be caught out here, but Vi's on her own, so Kikis is the one that actually has to be careful here. No projectiles are really going to come out from Vi, so Unbreakable not going to do too much. But that was all Freeze trying to hunt them down, had no mana, couldn't contaminate, couldn't use those poison stacks and get the kill. So a little bit fortunate there they had the shields coming out from Take Fun, but there is the Dragon up. Kikis is going to look to solo this. You know Vi can do it. He uses the sweeper to make sure nobody's there, but ward over the back from Alex Each. Take Fun is very, very low here. This could be dangerous, but I don't think anyone from NIP is really going to be around to contest.
Yeah, of course, this Shyvana is a top laner, so it does not have the smite that they needed from Coop. So that is going to be an objective. And all things considered, 17-10 looks like a fairly one-sided affair, but look at the goal difference. It's very, very close considering it's 27 minutes through.
Yeah, that is something to note, although, to be honest, I think NIP will kind of be happy with that, considering how the game started for them. Reason really did get that roam working for them, but NIP have fired back. It's been a kill-thirsty game. We saw a lot of games yesterday that were quite slow, didn't have this many kills at this point, but NIP and Reason are really just going at it tooth and nail here in our first game of the day, and I could not be happier with such an awesome matchup.
Yeah, to think we have another 5 games coming up after this from Group A is certainly something to be happy about. Of course, NIP are going to be playing throughout today, as are Reason Gaming. They're going to be facing off, if they do happen to qualify from this group, let's not get ahead of myself there, against SK Gaming Prime or in Faculty, who were the qualifiers from Group B yesterday. So, and that went right down to the wire. I mean, this group very well could do the same thing.
It could do. I mean, a lot of people are saying that NIP, in theory, should take that first place in the group. However, we've seen a little bit of perhaps, you know, uncharacteristicness from NIP because they've got this different lineup, because they've brought a new player in Power of Evil for this tournament. Perhaps it just didn't quite sit as well as people would expect. So if that continues throughout the day, it could be a possible point of weakness for them. Reason get a tower that pretty much they should have ended up getting a little bit earlier, so that's just kind of tidying up loose ends around the map there for Reason Gaming. But NIP, are they going to look to cut off Reason? I don't think they should, because they've only got 3 people here in mid lane. They could get caught out. This would not be a good fight.
It certainly wouldn't. Shyvana Alex does have his teleport. There's Freeze as well, so they have managed to move back into mid, but this really isn't a knife edge. This is an incredibly close game, and the one mistake, if someone just positions poorly, and I'm talking about the likes of Makler or, of course, Freeze's Twitch, that could be all she wrote for at least an inhibitor, at the very least a Baron as well.
Yeah, you can see that Alex is starting to do, as you'd imagine, the split push, but I believe they may have caught out Kikis. A couple of little hate spikes there coming out from Ku, but it's not really kicking out the engagement, but Voidal's caught.
He has been caught out, but there's the Venom Cask and also the Glacial Fissure on Libic. He is going to be falling. Wild Growth has been popped on him as well. Culling gets a full channel off, but look at the damage from Power of Evil. That's going to be a 3-for-0 trade at the very least, and at the bottom, Alex and Kubon going at it. Even if Alex were to die here, which doesn't look likely as he pops off the burnout and Blade of the Ruined King, that is still a great little play from Freeze as he's now coming in, trying to pick up Kikis, does get ultimated for his troubles, but there's Voidal, and they go legendary 10-2 Twitch, and as I said before, that is going to transition very comfortably into a Baron.
Importantly, also, Kubon wanted to teleport, and Alex actually cut him off. I believe it was a Dragon's Descent prevented that teleport from happening, and Alex didn't even use his. He could see the fight was going in their favor, so this is going to be a Baron going over to NIP. They're going to have the teleport still available on Alex as well, so they are in a great position here to put Shyvana in the solo lane, split push, and then push with the rest of the team. Kubon's going to try and get the turret. He's not going to be able to. As soon as Alex shows up, that's going to be enough to deter him. But NIP are in a great position there, and again, Power of Evil landing the stuns. I said that Voidal was caught, and it was only caught by name. That was all he was. It was only the death sentence, because the damage from NIP just completely turned it back round on Reason.
That's the problem, though. It's all well and good catching the support, but if their team's behind them, it's not worth at the end of the day, because as we saw there, it's like a 1-for-3, 1-for-4 trade at the end of the day, and NIP will take that all day long. Now, suddenly, out of nowhere, a big gold lead has exploded with that Baron, of course, the previous few fights, and 5-2 towers on top of it.
Yeah, Freeze, from being behind in that bottom lane, is actually now significantly further ahead in lane. He's a good nearly 3,500 gold up on Makler, and again, consider how that lane started for them. That really was a tricky situation to be in. But, you know, NIP here have got themselves a good gold lead and a 21-10 kill lead as well. They've got more towers. They've got pretty much better objective control right now than Reason. And NIP are just going to kind of strangle out Reason in this one. They're going to take all the jungle away, take the outer towers, I would imagine, and then look with that 4-man stack in the middle to push down that inner tower.
Yeah, suddenly the map is feeling a whole lot smaller for the side of Reason Gaming. Being choked out, very claustrophobic match for them now. Just the one outer tower, and with Baron you have to assume that it's only a matter of time before NIP do bear down on this tower. It's pretty full on hit points, but when they start getting unleashing some of those auto attacks from Twitch out of his invisibility, it won't last very long. In fact, are they going to engage on Voidal once again? This hasn't worked for them. Triple Glacial Fissure lands and Take Fun in the point. What in the hell was that all about? Makler's going to go down as well. It's just gone horribly wrong for Reason Gaming. Get the death sentence underneath the tower. There is no follow-up damage because both the carries are dead and the support as well. 3-for-0.
I was going to say, it looked like they wanted to engage on Voidal, and I was thinking, Braum, what he's known for is taking a lot of your damage and then crowd controlling all of you in one spot, and then Power of Evil just follows up with a stun. I mean, this could potentially be Nexus turrets going down here as well. NIP could look perhaps... Oh, the stun has landed.
From Power of Evil, he's been doing this all day, and that's going to be another kill for him. Moves on to 6-for-3. First Nexus tower will be falling. 7 seconds on Lucian. This, ladies and gents, should be game right here for NIP, picking up the tower as well, and the Nexus afterwards. What a game number 1 of today.
What a game indeed. It started perhaps with a whimper, but it certainly ended with a bang in favor of NIP, because they turned up their form. They arrived here at DreamHack. We said it's somewhat home turf here for the NIP organization, and I'm pretty sure everybody will be happy with the way that first game ended up going for them, but that was a good performance in the end there by NIP.
And we were wondering, how is Power of Evil going to factor in terms of synergy? Well, it's been answered.
Yes. I mean, we know his Syndra's been good before, showed it again. Those stuns were crucial in denying any kind of engage and let Freeze really just start wrapping things up in those team fights. Freeze at one point, I believe, was 10-8, something like that, looking at his stat line. And that was just a great performance. It's